Hey class, and welcome to Module 3. Now Module 3 is coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, where we're going to be talking about warranties. Now before we start, make sure that you've read the cases that I posted before this lecture, and also make sure that you have read Chapter 23 in the book. Now, the reason I decided to come to Taipei, two reasons. Number one, the food here is amazing, and we're going to be going to a night market. Night markets in Taiwan are an amazing place to get food, and it's really a cultural experience you've got to check out. And that's why we're filming this at night. Also because it was raining during the daytime, and it was kind of difficult to film in the rain. A warranty is basically a guarantee that the product that is being put out in the marketplace is safe. That it's not a defective product. It's not going to harm you if you purchase it. And when we talk about warranties, we have different types of warranties. We have express warranties, implied warranties. An implied warranty is basically just like it sounds. If you are selling products in the marketplace, if you're a merchant, you're selling a product in the marketplace, there is a certain assumption that that product you're selling has a degree of is safe and it's fit for what it's intended to do. That's an implied warranty. You know what you're expecting when you purchase a radio. And that's ultimately an implied warranty. And again, if you go home and you plug in the radio and it explodes and your house burns down, you know that odds are that there's nothing in any contract for a radio that says if you plug this in, it's not going to blow up. But it's implied that it's not going to blow up. It's implied that it's not going to destroy your house if you use this person's product, or this company's product, I should say. Now, express warranties are a little bit different. They're basically stated warranties. You know, that's basically where a company says, hey, if you do this, blank. You know, if you use this product, we can guarantee you blank. And the express warranties can be tricky because where does an express warranty start and where does puffery end, or where does a sales pitch end and an express warranty begins? Ask yourself this: if you saw a commercial for like a Tempur-Pedic mattress and it says the best sleep you'll ever have, is that an express warranty, or is that just advertising? Is that just puffery? We also have something called an implied warranty of merchantability, and that's why we're filming this week's lecture in Taipei. Implied warranty of merchantability. What it ultimately is stating is that the product that you're purchasing is going to it's basically going to do what it's designed to do. You're getting something that's not going to cause harm, that's not going to cause injury, and you don't have to expressly state it. If you're purchasing a good in the marketplace from a merchant, you have a certain reasonable expectation that that product isn't going to cause injury. It's not going to be defective. Now, the two cases that I want you to be familiar with are number one, Webster versus Blue Ship Tea Room. That's a 1964 case, and you can find it in your book, and I've also posted a link to the summary of it. This is such a great case when we talk about implied warranties, because in this instance, Miss Webster went to Blue Ship Tea Room, ordered a bowl of clam chowder, and keep in mind, this is in Massachusetts, and she had either a fish bone or an oyster shell that was in her soup, and she ate this oyster shell, she had this fish bone, and it got stuck in her throat, and she suffered an injury. I'm going to stop here because there's like an ambulance going by. So hopefully that person in the ambulance didn't get an oyster shell stuck in their throat. Miss Webster got an oyster shell stuck in her throat, and she sued Blue Ship Tea Room, alleging a breach of the implied warranty of merchantability. She basically stated that in her complaint that it is unreasonable for a merchant to put a product out on the marketplace that can cause an injury like that. And she actually won. The defendants, Blue Ship Tea Room, they appealed this decision, and the appellate court reviewed this, and they concluded that no, this was not a breach of the implied warranty of merchantability. Now again, the implied warranty of merchantability is basically a guarantee that the product that you're putting out in the marketplace is fit for what it's intended for, its intended purpose. So if you're selling a vacuum cleaner, it is not going to cause injury, it's going to, it's going to suck. You know what I mean, guys. But what she argued, Miss Webster argued, was that if you sell a bowl of clam chowder in Massachusetts, it would have No, it shouldn't have any fish bones or oyster shells or anything like that in it. Got a crowd coming by. This is a busy corner, man. This is such a great place to film the lecture. The Court of Appeals in Massachusetts actually got a chance to sit back, read the history of clam chowder, read the instructions on how to make clam chowder, which, I mean, I'm telling you, as a judge myself, I mean, I would love, that's my dream case right there. You've given me basically a recipe book and letting me read about food for a case, man, it would be awesome. But I digress. But basically, they said that that is not a violation of the express warranty of merchantability. You know, there's a certain reasonableness of expecting that a bone could end up in your clam chowder. It's not reasonable, they felt, to expect that there would never be a bone in your clam chowder. You're expected, if you order clam chowder in a restaurant in Massachusetts, to be aware that there is a small possibility that a bone could be in there and take precautions accordingly. Now compare that to another case, and a case that I posted earlier, and the reason that we're here today in Taipei. See, this involved a company, a very famous company, that at the time of this filming is about to be a Taiwanese company. That company is Bumblebee. Now, no, not the Transformer, Bumblebee, the tuna fish. Bumblebee Foods recently declared bankruptcy. Bumblebee recently filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They were a San Diego-based company. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they have, at the time of this filming, agreed to be sold to a Taiwanese company. So at the time of this filming, the sale is still going through. This happened in November of 2019 that they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they announced that they are going to be selling to a Taiwanese company. Now, the other case we're talking about when we talk about implied warranty and merchantability is Perazzo v. Bumblebee. And this is such a fascinating case. It's a bit of an obscure case. Let me just give you the factual background. You've read the case, but to give you the factual background, a gentleman named Lee Pizarro, he loved tuna fish, right? I mean, he really, really, really loved tuna fish. Like, to the point where even like Bumblebee was like, man, this guy's taking it to another level, yo. So what ultimately happened is Mr. Pizarro ate tuna fish like every day, and it was basically assessed that he ate 500 pounds of tuna fish over 33 months. He would have a couple of cans of tuna fish every day, and one of the reasons, he says, was that according to the advertising with Bumblebee tuna fish, Bumblebee sold itself as a healthy alternative. It was a high protein, low fat, high in omega fatty acids, and it was a very healthy protein. So he had all this tuna fish, and he started getting sick, and he started showing symptoms. And when he went to the doctor, it was eventually determined that he had elevated levels of mercury. And the doctor asked him, hey, you know, what have you been eating? Have you been eating any fish? And then he said, yeah, I had 500 pounds of tuna fish. And they were like, yeah, that's probably it, yo. So, long story short, he was upset about this and decided to sue Bluebell. I had a lecture last semester about Bluebell ice cream. I'm almost like getting sidetracked on Bluebell. He decided to sue Bumblebee because they did not warn him of the possibility of elevated levels of mercury in their tuna fish. Now, again, this is one of those things. Let me just say this. One of the best things about this case is Bumblebee actually used a defense that, like, this is not the intended use of our product to eat 500 pounds of tuna fish. They actually were like, man, you know, we manufacture this stuff, and that is like way too much even for us. But that wasn't ultimately how the case was decided. The case was decided because Lee was not able to show that his injuries were the proximate cause of his injuries was the consumption of tuna fish. Although, to be honest, it probably was, but he just wasn't able to prove that. So that's ultimately why that case failed. But it was a fascinating case, and especially when you compare it to the Webster case, because the Webster case talked about it being anticipated. If you eat clam chowder in Massachusetts, you should anticipate the possibility that you're going to get a bone or an oyster shell in there. So the question now becomes, if you eat that much tuna fish, should it have been anticipated that it could cause health issues because of the elevated level of mercuries? Is it as well known to an average person that tuna fish would have that level of mercury that could become unhealthy if you eat that much of it? And really, again, 500 pounds sounds like a lot, but then again, you know, on the counter argument, it was spread out over 33 months. That ended up being like a couple cans of tuna fish every month, or excuse me, a couple cans of tuna fish every day. So, maybe it sounds worse than it actually was. I mean, I don't know. Like, that sounded like a lot of tuna fish to me. But the question is, would it have been anticipated? Class, what do you think? Do you think that Pizarro would have won if he was able to establish that the proximate cause of his injury was the excessive consumption of tuna fish? Well, that's an interesting topic, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But now, it's getting late. It's now time for the night market to really kick into gear. We're going to head over to the night market, get some food there. It's going to be a really neat experience. Class, we'll catch you, and we'll finish up the lecture from over there.
Well, class, we are almost at our destination, but we're not there just yet. The Uber driver couldn't get us right to the front door, and so we are outside the night market right now, and I know it looks really packed here. I mean, it is just completely crowded, but we're not even at our final destination yet. I know we got to be close. I think it's just right around the corner here. I'm going to follow the crowd here. But I mean, this is going to be an amazing experience. It's already packed. It is, middle of the night, and there is people everywhere to get to this location, and it looks like, this is going to be it. Class, we have arrived. We have arrived to Taiwan's largest night market, and its most famous, the Shilin night market. Let's head on in. Well, the first floor, class, it's got a few food vendors here. There's some people selling fruit and whatnot, and it might be a place to stop by for dessert. But most of the stuff on the first floor is your typical night market stuff. You got folks selling like, phone chargers and random stuff like that, and some bric-a-brac and random junk like that. But our main goal is to get to the basement, and we're heading there now. We're not even at the basement yet, but there are some restaurants here, really enticing. There's a couple people selling street food up here as well. If I didn't know any better, I'd say let's grab something here, but we better head on down to the basement. And I gotta say, this stuff smells great, whatever this is, and it looks enticing.
Well, class, here we are, the food court at the Shilin Night Market. This place is just amazing. This is where it's at. 539 vendors crammed into this little space. And let me tell you, this is a sensory overload. So much food, people everywhere. It's just an amazing, amazing experience. I don't even know where to start. Now, again, there are so many different things that I can choose from here. There's another oyster omelet here. I'm going to try this crab too, because this I'm seeing everywhere, and this looks like something that a lot of people are ordering. And man, everything looks good, but I got to get something with oyster, because we've been talking about oyster shell, and I got to kind of keep it on topic here. Well, I went ahead and took a look at this oyster omelet. I wanted to look at it a little closer, and I'm going to be honest, it's not jumping out at me. It's not doing anything right now. It looks just like an omelet with some oysters in it. But you know what? Everybody swears by it, and I'm seeing a lot of people have ordered it here, so I'm going to give it a try.
Well, class, I came here to the Shilin Marketplace with my father. We finally picked a restaurant, and I got a couple different dishes here. Right off the bat, remember when we talked about implied warranty and merchantability? And remember when we talked about that case, the Webster case? Remember how Miss Webster had a clam chowder that had either an oyster shell or a fish bone in it? She had a small fish bone or oyster shell in her clam chowder, and it was ruled by the court that this should have been anticipated for somebody purchasing a clam chowder in Massachusetts. Well, right off the bat, we went ahead and ordered the soft shell crab as one of the dishes we ordered here, and this is an item that I'm going to say right off the bat, if I eat this and I get a shell caught in my throat, I can guarantee you that they will find that it's anticipated that I could ingest a shell on this. So let's try it and see how it is. Not bad. It's a little deep fried, a little oily. It's not bad. The other thing I ordered that definitely doesn't have a shell in it is a stinky tofu. Literally, they call it stinky tofu. And after I ordered, I looked online. I was waiting for them to bring it out. And it was featured by Andrew Zimmerman as like one of the worst foods ever you can get. So, just to find out. right or not. I mean, it just looks like a piece of bread, to be honest. It's like a deep fried tofu. Doesn't even have a smell to it, so. I'll get what the big deal is. It just tastes like a piece of tofu. I don't get it. Maybe they like gave me the gringo version or something because it just tastes like an overcooked piece of tofu. Now this, I've been told, is something you gotta have in Taiwan, and I'm already gonna. It's the oyster omelet, and it looks kind of gelatiny, to be honest, for an omelet, but. I don't know. This tastes like an omelet. I don't really see what the big deal about that is either. And then finally, I just got the pork braised rice. And this came with $1. I think this is off the appetizer menu. It's just rice and pork, but let's give this a try. It's actually pretty good. I like that a lot. I'd say the pork and rice are my favorite item on here. But, you know, this meal hasn't knocked me out of the park. It didn't knock it out of the park. But this is such an experience. You can kind of see here, this marketplace is crowded. It's packed. There's a lot of action going here. This is definitely a dining experience. One I'm glad I had a chance to try. And I'm glad you guys were here with me when I got to try the Shilin market. Be sure to read your material for next week, class. If you have any questions, just send me an email. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Hope you enjoyed this module. We'll catch you next week, class.